Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of a Wild Time podcast. Listen, we have a heck of a show tonight. Go back and subscribe subscribe and like. Go back to our previous episode with Rick Rude Jr., the son of the late, great, one of my heroes, one of my main heroes, Ravishing Rick Rude. It's an awesome story, man. Rick's getting into the bodybuilding world. He talks a lot about his father growing up. It's a heck of an episode and very inspiring. Tonight, though, we're early because my next guest, he is in Germany at the moment. Listen, when it comes to this guy, you have probably seen him. If you're like myself, you have seen him in the 80s and 90s action movies. He is one of the toughest, most realistic martial artists if you watch him. He's been a hitman, he's been a corrupt kickboxer, and my personal favorite, he was a drug dealing alien sent to get the drugs out of human beings' bodies. Ladies and gentlemen, he is about 6'6". He looks like White Snake meets Mr. Olympia. He is Matthias Hues. Matthias, how's it going, my man?
How are you doing, brother?
Man, I'm blessed. I'm so thankful you gave me a little bit of your time. How's it going over in Germany at the moment?
You know, in Germany, it's going really fantastic. We have spring, it's green, the weather is nice. I'm getting ready to shoot a movie here called The Last Comité. It's a blood sport remake.
Oh.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, or is it kind of secret at the moment?
No. We start shooting in 3 weeks. And it's going to be Cynthia Rothrock, Billy Blanks, you know him? Yeah. Bolo Young's son, myself, Matthias Landwehr, and the amazing stunt coordinator, Mike Muller he's done Expendables, all kinds of movies, you know, he's really great. So yeah, and countless other new stars and martial artists. And so it's a slugfest, kind of like Bloodsport, you know, it's called
This sounds too good to be true to someone like me. This is what they should have continued making these movies nonstop, because Cynthia Rothrock, Matthias Hues, both son of Bolo Young. I mean, Banks, this is just lined up with guys and gals that I grew up admiring. So this is awesome to hear, dude.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's good news. I mean, we were really excited. And let me tell you, want to know how it came about? I was having a podcast with well, he usually does basketball players, right? So but we got talking. Next thing you know, he's like, I'm a fan of these movies, this and that. I say, well, you should produce one then. And he's the producer.
Wow.
Yeah, I helped him to get all the cast together and everything, and now he raised the money. He put in his own money, and he's actually producing his childhood dream to be part of a 80s, 90s martial art action film.
And that is that is awesome to know that there's still people out there that appreciate it and have the ability to get the people like yourself or Cynthia or just all these people, that Billy Blanks, that we grew up admiring, because God knows if I had the money, I'd be on the phone with you. I'd be on the phone with Ralph Muller. I'd be on the phone with all these guys.
All these people. Yeah.
And I'd be like, let's do an Expendables, that version of villains that really didn't get the love that they deserved.
Right. It probably sell really well. Let me tell you, the entire YouTube community, the Viking Samurai, Jason Brand, all these people that do these B action martial art movies, talk about it. They got together and we did also a Kickstarter on top of it, and we collected money and boom, it's gone.
Man, that's so awesome to hear, man. That thrills me for you, because you deserve that. A lot of you guys deserve that. Without the Expendables blew up back in, I got married in 2009.
Yeah, it was about 2010, 2009. I remember that because there was a time between 2000 and 2008 and 2009 there weren't any good movies anymore.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, you can only, I'm sure there's a lot of films of Fast and the Furious series and all the Marvel, but that just wasn't in my, I was a fan of martial arts.
Yeah. So Expendables was just that, it was spearheaded by Stallone, who was in incredible shape. He had Arnold, he had Jason Statham, he had Van Damme, Scott Adkins, the MMA fighter, Randy Couture, Chris Hemsworth's brother. Anyway, all these people that are really interesting, I loved it. Gary Daniels was there too, martial artist. So yeah, it was a really good franchise.
There was three guys that I always felt like should have been involved in that. You being one, and then the big Ralph Muller. I always felt like he should have had a martial artist by the name of Jeff Speakman. He had a few good movies when
Very much.
Jeff had a Perfect Weapon and a Dark Knight, or Street Knight.
Stallone went strictly with people that were hot at that moment. You know what I mean? Randy Couture was hot at that moment. You know what I mean? Jason Statham was hot at that moment. Scott Adkins was kind of like coming up, and Van Damme was almost like, oh, we should have him too, and we should have Seagal, and then it kind of ended. You know what I mean?
I think
Dolph Lundgren, of course, because he was in Rocky.
Yeah. The Creed, I think Stallone is like still like he's doing the Creed. No, he didn't do the last Creed. He was doing the Creeds, and now I think there is another Expendables on the way with 50 Cent, Megan Fox. So it's kind of getting a little bit diluted. I mean,
that's usually how it goes.
Yeah. Well, listen, Matthias, you were born in Germany, where you're at the moment. What made you? Did you have dreams like some of the other guys of getting to the United States and going for something?
Yeah, because I was always more of an American type personality, open-minded, friendly, like Americans are, the good old American stock of people, right?
Yeah.
Friendly, open-minded, especially back then in Hollywood, you could come up with anything. I mean, if you were a bit different, you could have been a world champion in kickboxing, a wrestling champion. Any of these things could get you into a door of something. And I just knew that, And I mentioned to you earlier before we started taping, I wasn't quite sure in the beginning. All I knew I can use my physicality to make a living in the entertainment industry. And the first thing was suggested to me to become a wrestler.
Yeah.
And I just got to Gold's Gym, and I hear, oh, you have to rush, go to Venice Beach. There's Hulk Hogan, So Hulk, and I'm racing down there, but he was already gone. It was like Hogan was like that iconic figure that represented all the wrestlers.
Yeah.
Oh, he was blonde and all, big guy like me, bigger, I mean, but tall, So I ended up going to wrestling school, naturally followed it up, but it was, I have to admit it, too tough for me because I wasn't cut out for it. Also, I was very shy.
Yeah.
There was another German guy who was a professional bodybuilder. I forgot his name. They had high hopes for him. He was triple my size, but not so tall, but big and well built. They signed him up, but he didn't have the personality. You have to have that. Now I could do it, but back then I was too shy.
Sounds like that may have been Brackus you're speaking of. They had high hopes for him in like 97. Brackus. He was a big dude, and he was impressive. I think they took the name from Best of the Best 2, an awesome underrated action film, which was Ralph Muller's character. And I think they
was Ralph Muller.
Yep. I think they branded him, and they were like, this dude could be a massive star. And then when he got in the ring, actually he was friends. I'll give you a fast fact about that guy. He was really close friends with Vince McMahon's son, Shane. And Shane was like, this guy's got the look. So he just didn't have the in-ring skill. And it was kind of, went down that way.
My wife, before we got married, she was married to a friend of mine, the distant friend, but his name is François Petit. He was the doctor of the WWF back then.
Yeah.
And so my wife knows every single professional wrestler because they came to their house. And he was working on it, and then he went full-time with Vince McMahon for years. He was at the ringside. He actually took care of Austin because Austin was supposed to do the championship fight, and he couldn't fight. He fixed him just for the fight, and he with a belt. So I love it because my wife still knows everybody. We like in the post office, and there's Steve Austin. He's like, oh, listen. Oh, wow, you really know all the Rock, everybody. She knows him. It's so interesting for me to listen to her stories because she was in the circuit for quite a while, being there all the time. It's, who isn't fascinated by wrestling?
Yeah.
These true athletes of, I mean, I know because I tried it. I did a wrestling movie, so I kind of, but like I said, it's not me. And a number on its own, you know.
I'll tell you, man.
Oh,
Your wife, she is in phenomenal shape. Also, you guys work out together. I mean, it's really
no panic.
inspiring to see you
We still
guys.
there?
Yeah, I'm here. It looked like you froze up for a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, what I was saying was,
Still here,
your
right?
wife and yourself, you all are in phenomenal shape. She is a warrior, also. I've been following you guys,
Yeah.
and she is just a monster on the battle ropes. I seen you doing the push-up challenge. What
Yeah,
what got you into fitness?
like her, she wasn't into fitness till she met her husband. He was a martial art teacher at Gold's Gym in Venice. And interesting, I already knew him in France. We worked together in a fitness center, and then we both moved to LA, and he became a martial art instructor. He was also in Mortal Kombat. And long story short, he trained her. She's a black belt in karate,
Yeah,
but then they got divorced. You know how life is, right?
right.
Yeah, and Leslie was my girlfriend before him.
Funny how things work, ain't it?
Yeah, we broke up, and then I was so busy with my movies,
Yeah.
anyway, later on we got back together. Long story short, that's how she got into, and then she met me again, and then obviously my lifestyle is in the gym and doing all this. We actually spar together and everything.
Well, that's cool, man. I do a little bit of, like I said, I was into mixed martial arts, and I run like a gym here at the house for local kids. I've got punching bags, weights, and everything. So I use what I did in mixed martial arts and pro wrestling and kind of combine it for
I
kids
love
around
it.
here. And I do a lot of mitt work for the kids. And to see these kids putting it together, and my wife, she's pretty bad, man. She's got a lot of power, and we've kind of trained off and on together over the years. And she's got to where she can throw some bombs. So it's cool to see.
Great.
It's cool for me to see couples work out together because it inspires me and her also.
Yeah, it's the same with us. So we have a lot of friends that are incredibly in shape. As in America, at least where we live, everybody is in shape. It's like crazy in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
And we also live in Vegas, so everybody's in shape.
Mm-hmm.
They're all amazing people. At my time, when I was younger, there was like 10 people in shape.
Yeah.
Now it's a million people.
It's become a lifestyle, man. I mean, it
a
has.
lifestyle. And the kids are going like this. I love it. I think it's too bad. I wish I grew up like that,
Yeah.
My dad was not into it,
Well, let me ask you something, Matthias. When you got into martial arts, what martial art did you study growing up? What got you in? Was it kickboxing or?
Oh, it's in Germany. It's always the same, It's very like that. It's judo first. It seems like the entry thing, and then it's mostly taekwondo. Karate is not popular in Germany as much. Maybe it is now. I don't know. When I grew up, it was all taekwondo and judo, and then from there on, there's nothing else. Or there was nothing else. We weren't into wrestling at all. Olympic style wrestling. It's not that popular in Germany.
Taekwondo is, that's a lot of heavy kicks, man. I mean, what's fascinating about that is judo is you're basically, your throws, your grappling, and then you mix that up with some taekwondo, and that equals a bad dude if he's good at it.
I think that's what I think. I always, in MMA terms, if you know certain kicks, kickboxing, Muay Thai even, and grappling, so maybe you're doing great.
There was a fighter, man, it's been about 10 years ago. His name was Parisian, and he was a heck of a judo. I mean, he would throw you would get in grappling situations, and he would just turn his body and launch you. And then Ronda Rousey came along, and obviously she just took judo to another level.
She took it. In her case, that was the judo that made her go further and further. Yeah. But then, as you see, the striking is also a very high a major thing, right?
Yes, for sure. You got Muay, like you said, Muay Thai,
Oh, look
kickboxing,
at Holmes, how she connected with that
that head
kid.
kick.
That those things they come so fast.
Yeah. I love Holly. She's in her early 40s. She still is, I mean, that's inspiring to me. Randy Couture was my hero. That's the reason I started fighting. And I got to meet him a few times. And I had his boxing coach on, Ron Frazier, that I had him on my podcast. And Randy is just I'm always for like George Foreman. He's one of my heroes. I'm all about the older guy that still got it in him. I guess I don't know if that's the fear of aging or what in me, but
yeah. You know,
that's the guys I root for.
You shouldn't be afraid because there's a long road.
Yeah.
The only thing you have to be careful is injuries.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been lucky in that situation where really I tore my biceps training for fights, not really fighting. In my fights, in my mixed martial arts career, I fought a handful of fights and they were over in less than a minute. I kind of had a good situation there, but the training is where I got my injuries at.
If you work weights, that's a lot of people get injured doing bench press or
yes,
curls, bicep curls. If you go too heavy, you can snap your biceps tendons. Overstretching also, if you stretch too much, you can hurt your tendons. You do deadlifting. I mean, whatever it is, you can get screwed up.
Oh yeah, I had a scary moment deadlifting with 135 pounds. I mean, I was just warming up and had a scary moment. Like I went down and I felt like a knife had been stuck into my lower back and it freaked me out.
It happened to me 2 days ago.
Really? What is that, Matthias? I know you probably know the situation. What is it? Just a pulled or strained muscle?
I picked up the 20-pound empty bar to warm up and already happened. I can't tell you. I don't know. Maybe the way I picked it up, but I'm really.
I deadlift over 500 pounds. So when I was just warming up and then went down, it was like it scared me because I mean I lost my breath and was like, man, first thing that went through my head was, man, I've really messed up here.
Yeah, you can mess yourself up for like weeks.
Mm-hmm. Well, Matthias, let's get to the bread and butter, the action star of the 80s and 90s. I was reading about No Retreat, No Surrender 2. No Retreat, No Surrender was Jean-Claude Van Damme, one of his first films, was a big success. So they went for to make a sequel, which wasn't even based on the original movie, I don't think. And you come in with if I'm not mistaken, no prior acting experience. You were just a physical specimen that they looked at and said, listen, we got to get this dude involved.
Yeah, it was literally like that because I was not a Van Damme by all means, no splits, no nothing. It was simply a hunch of that producer that I would go places, and the producers didn't want me. And then they actually had to train me for the film. Hong Kong movies are kind of like tough,
Yeah.
If you never shot a movie, that's almost impossible to do. Cynthia Rothrock already shot movies in China.
Yeah.
Probably, that was not so easy. But it was my calling. I mean, I love to get hurt. In the end, I would have done anything, no matter what they say. Do it. I'll do it. I don't care. I loved it so much. I didn't care.
Well, I think that's my in the door also, man. I mean, because it led to some really cool stuff that you went on to do. And there was another film, you got to work with a lot of cool people, man. I mean, guys that were kind of, needed in the wrestling world, a heel to work with. A good baby face always needs a heel to win the crowd over, because if you don't have somebody tough threatening to you, the crowd's not going to get behind you. You were that ultimate heel.
Yeah. I tell you, you're only as good as the villain. And the villain can be each way. He can be huge or very smart and cunning. It doesn't matter. It's like whatever the villain is the best at, or some villain are not stereotypically, they are really good looking guys too sometimes. Yeah. But you wouldn't expect them to be so villainous or so. Whatever angle you have, my angle was just the muscles and the long hair. I mean, that was my thing, and I'm an athlete, so you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, you worked with Lorenzo Lamas, who I consider another underrated action star. I love the Snake Eater films. They become cult classics here. But there was a movie that you were in with him called Bounty Hunter. Was it Bounty Hunter?
Bounty Tracker.
County Tracker, because I would,
Yes.
I was a small kid, and when I was a kid, me and my friends would go on a Friday night. Our parents would take us. We'd get to rent movies. We'd always go for the action movies, and that VHS box is probably in the top 5 coolest VHS because it looks like a fight, like a heavyweight fight poster. Y'all are squaring off against each
Yeah,
other.
yeah,
It's,
yeah. I
it's
remember shooting that picture.
real. That's a picture that I would love to have at my gym. I mean, it's testosterone at its best.
I think I had the poster for the longest time, but unfortunately I moved so many times. Now I wish I wouldn't have lost it.
What was your thoughts on that film?
It was such a cool dude. I mean, when I saw Lorenzo, he's just a sweet man, but I loved it. We had a good time. He was a bit injured, so he already. I felt sorry for him because I have a knee injury myself, and he pulled through the whole movie with that knee injury. He had this big brace, and he did all the fighting and everything. Never complained. I thought this guy is amazing, and I always thought he's an underrated action guy myself.
Yeah,
he had the charm, the skills. He's a good martial artist. He knows all of the moves. But he found his calling in Renegade.
Renegade was huge. Yeah, it was when I was a kid. That intro with the that harmonica, that southern guitar, it's cool.
Back then, the long hair was still like in, right?
Oh yeah,
he had like the best hair and everything. He was so good looking, and you were like, oh, that guy gets to ride the Harley and everything, right?
Oh man, he was everything that he was every lady's dream and every man's.
Yeah, he was every lady's dream. And I know because I live in LA, and we at that time dated the same girls, like running in the same crowd, And one of my ex-girlfriends ended up going out with him. I remember that, and she was like, oh, his hair.
I have a good friend, and he's in the business. He was in Sons of Anarchy, the Crazies, and he was actually Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake briefly, Brett Wagner. And he said that he remembered you from his bar days in Los Angeles years ago. Talked about what a polite guy you were. He said, you're going to love having him on. He said, because he's just a top-notch guy. And I was like, man, that's so awesome to hear. I was tickled.
It was so cool. We all kind of knew each other from auditions.
Yeah.
Being casted in the same roles all the time.
That had to be, there was a camaraderie amongst you guys back in the day where it had to be cool. I mean,
it's so amazing. I wish you could experience that. It's like that. It's all happening. Most of it in Gold's Gym in Venice, right?
Yeah.
And everyone walks through that door. Every champion, every wrestler, every movie star, every future star, hopeful to be around this every day is unreal. And we all like there's another big guy. It takes 2 minutes before, hey, how you doing? Where are you from? What are you doing? I want to be like this. Eddie Bernowski, you remember him?
Absolutely. I just seen where his dog passed away, and that broke my heart.
I just saw that. He was one of the guys. It's like I'm walking inside, and I'm like, someone's like this, and I'm like looking around and see this major big guy, and he's like, I'm going to be in the movies, you'll see, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, boom, he was in the movies.
The movie, the program, he was actually one of the Batmans, but the program, when he played Latimer, the football player, and he was, I mean, when he was on screen, he demanded the time, man. He got over on screen big time.
He was really, and he still is, like an immense personality,
Yeah.
Leatherface. He was Leatherface.
He played Leather. I've been blessed to meet. That's my favorite movie of all time, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Wasn't that the best, right?
That was my favorite. I've met Gunnar Hansen, the original Leatherface. I'm really good friends with R.A. Mihailoff. He played Leatherface in part 3, big dude. But Andrew played Leatherface with a menace. He played him.
It's that part 4 or something.
Yes. It was actually, Matthew McConaughey was in part 4, The Next Generation. They just scrapped it all and remade it with Andrew. And Arlie Ermey.
I know the producer of the movie very well. And I remember I had my agent call him and say, I want to be Leatherface.
Yeah.
But they didn't take me. They took Andy Banowski, and I thought, yeah, you know what? Actually, they did a good thing because he's more like Leatherface than me, even though you can't see that much, but he has that,
Yeah. Well, there was a rumor that Dolph Lundgren had. I wonder if some person got it mistaken that you had put in for Leatherface and said it was Dolph because of you guys having history with one another.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know. Dolph. I think Leatherface has to be more of a compact, bigger
Yeah,
man.
he's got to be thicker, have a belly on him, and kind of a big, broad country guy. You know what I mean? But I would have been interesting to see Matthias Hues as Leatherface.
I mean, I would like to play it. Or Jason. Jason is more of a leaner man.
He was more your physical stature.
Yeah, I think so. And I know one of the guys that did Jason. He was a tall guy. I saw him in the gym all the time. He did the first two, I think. He wasn't a Chippendale guy, to be honest.
I wonder if it was C.J. Graham.
Yes.
CJ, yeah, he was a big, tall, good-looking, bodybuilding type of guy. So sounds like I have a crush on him, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you know what I mean. We all admire each other for our physicality. It's just very normal. Really, it's like that. You go to someone, you say, "Man, you look great."
Yeah.
I mean, because they are really well built, and you think, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, I appreciate them.
Right. What are you doing? Yeah, like it's awesome when those guys, when we stick together, ask each other questions. No jealousy, nothing, I've seen guys that are so amazing, and you're scared of it because in a scheme when you are in the acting profession, they can take your job away.
Oh gosh, I can only imagine. I would say, Hollywood is as cutthroat as it comes, man.
It's so hard. Do you remember the guy Tom McGee?
McGee. Yes, he was in Stone Cold.
Yes.
He was a pro wrestler. They had a huge he was the next Hogan. They had hoped he was going to be the next Hogan. And he could backflip off the top rope. He was really athletic. Yeah. He had a great match with Bret the Hitman Hart because Bret was a heck of a worker. Bret could work with anybody. And that match was awesome. And Vince was like, Tom McGee will be the next Hulk Hogan. And it just did not pan out.
I think I know why, because it's so interesting. So he was one of the guys. I saw him walking. First time I saw him in Palm Springs in a nightclub. And I thought, damn, this guy's my height. He's got long hair, but he's bigger than me. He was 287. I was 257 only. So 20 pounds, right? And next thing you know, he walks through Gold's Gym. That's that door I can already see it from a distance who walks in there. I have it scanned. I know who is dangerous and not. He walked in. I'm like, that's going to be a problem. That was my thought,
Yeah.
Immediately, but we become friends right away. It's how it goes, right? We spar together and everything. And then he was kind of in awe of me because I'm in a track and field, and I was in awe of him because he's a wrestler who can do backflips.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think he was so in love with the idea, at least, of being an actor that he kind of dropped the wrestling, maybe. I don't know.
He did. Well, his actual in-ring ability kind of it's a shame because I loved him in Stone Cold, man. He had when he came on screen and him and Brian Bosworth were in that pit fight, I mean, you could see charisma oozing out of him. And I didn't even know who he was as a kid.
I don't know what happened. I suddenly
I root for the guy. I'd like to see him get another shot, man. I mean, because
he's not doing anything. He's he had a very bad incident. I don't know if you know.
Yes, yeah, he was jumped by two thugs, if I'm not mistaken, that were
breaking more than just two.
Oh, was it? Man, that's a shame. He was roughed up. But he was.
It's hard to believe. I would have guessed he can take out 10, 15 guys at once.
Oh yeah. But it's hard. I mean, it's hard when you're just you got them coming at you at different angles.
Yeah. When he kicked me, and I was holding the pad.
Yeah.
I had pain for like hours afterwards.
You could tell he was an athlete. He just wasn't stacked with muscle. The dude could move too.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
You guys have a relationship. You all are connected.
Yeah, we all connected.
You and Tom are connected through Craig R. Baxley, who did the next film that we were going to talk about, I Come in Peace. And like I was telling you before we came on stage, when I was a kid, me and my best friend on the playground, we didn't play cops or robbers or anything like that. We were playing I Come in Peace. and one of us was the bad alien, and the other one was Jack Kane, which was Dolph Lundgren. We were running through monkey bars, jumping up on slides. I mean, it was just, that's what we did. That was our childhood. But, you know, that was how did you get involved with that movie, man?
Just very simple. It was an open call in LA, as it is, for an athlete, anybody over 6'6", which, you know, I'm barely. So mostly basketball players. They needed someone taller than Dolph. That was the goal, right? So I walk into the casting office, big office, and filled with athletes, you know, football players.
Yeah.
I was the smallest one, I think, you know, in terms of height. But that didn't matter. I walked in, the director, Greg Baxley, took one look at me and he said, please come in the other room with me.
That's a good feeling, I imagine.
Oh my God, he knew. He said, listen, I don't know if you know what this is. I said, no. He said, this is your chance of a lifetime because this movie was written for Dolph. And I'm like, oh my God, Dolph, you know, who doesn't, you know, the guy from Rock, right? So who everybody idolized at that time, right? And I thought, how's that possible? Yeah, why doesn't he want to do the movie? He says, no, Dolph rather wants to be the cop.
Yeah.
And this is your chance. You take Dolph's role. You're going to be the alien. That was meant for Dolph.
Yeah.
And that's your chance. However, he said, you're going to have to do all your own stunts, you know. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? That's what I do, right? I didn't know how much though. But and I walked out. I had the job. Nobody else, no matter how tall, they didn't want to see it. They casted Jay Bias, professional. Yeah. They casted him to be the nemesis of the Dark Angel. He was actually he must be 6'8" or something, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm on the inch as tall as Dolph.
Yeah. You had the platform share, the big shoes on, didn't you? The lifts.
Yeah. So they had to fake it, you know. So we are both exactly the same. I was like brothers, you know.
Yeah. I can't remember if I was watching a podcast or if I was talking to someone that may have been familiar with the making of the movie, but they were bragging on you, talking about how you did your own stunts, how you were running on the cars in the garage, and how amazing it was to film watching it. And I mean, they were just, that was one thing. I can't remember who, it's killing me because, you know, they were involved with the movie because I'm a huge fan of that film. And they were just talking about how Matthias Hues was running on these cars and it was just amazing to watch and film. So, man, that was a heck of
a little trivia about that. That was a one take thing because you had to run over it and blind because you have the lenses in it, you know, and the shoes. So it's virtually insane to do it. And then you got to jump on the window, the fire explosion, you know, a little bit on fire. And then you got to land on a platform that is elevated outside the building about, I don't know how many meters, but, you know, in a big garage, fourth floor. And there's the cameraman and sound man or something, the director, and they're waiting for me. And I am so fast, I could have taken them all down with me.
You know,
you don't think
that when you jump through that window, I mean, it is absolutely, it looks like you're falling 30 feet. I mean, it was a great shot.
But it's like this. So I jump on the ramp and then that's it, right? And then the actual fall down into a bag was Denny Pepper.
Oh, really?
Denny Pepper in Houston. He was the only one. You can't do this as a regular guy.
Yeah.
It was, if it's 30 meters or something, it was insane. You don't see the bag.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a big drop. I mean, it's wild.
Oh man. And you see, I look down, I'm like, there's the bag. And you have to stand in there. But you have to start 10 feet. You know what I mean? 20 feet. 50. So you got to work your way that they didn't allow me to do because I could break my neck, because if you fall the wrong way.
Oh yeah. And you know the thing about I Come in Peace or Dark Angel that I love, and I swear to you, I'm not even lying, the soundtrack to that movie, the score is the best. Like there's two movies that as a kid I grew up with my toy guns going through the hills or playing, and it was I Come in Peace synth score by Jan Hammer.
Yeah, Jan Hammer.
Or Raw Deal with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he's preparing with the guns, putting them in. I don't know if you're familiar with that film or not, but it was just it was a awesome score. But I Come in Peace has actually, it's a cult classic now, and it's, to me, I find it to be the most underrated action film of all time. I mean, it was.
Oh, thanks. It was a load of fun, and they had high hopes for it.
Well, I mean, was that your voice?
Yeah, it's I Come in Peace, you know. It's just then they put more oomph into it, you know, like whatever. But it's my voice. Oh yeah.
Man, that was awesome. And that movie, just everything about it screams nostalgic, early 90s. I mean, the cars, Lundgren had the Monte Carlo, the Super Sport Monte Carlo.
The Monte Carlo, and I used to drive that car around town in between takes.
I love that car.
In my outfit.
Oh, really?
Through Houston. I loved it. People were like jumping off the sidewalk when they drove by, but I had so much fun doing it.
Man, that was, you were in Kickboxer too, also another awesome film. And you got to kind of highlight your fighting ability too in the ring. I mean, Sasha Mitchell, he was, on Step by Step and coming up. And
yeah, he was coming up, and now he's a much better fighter because he caught the fever on this movie. Mm-hmm. He was an actor first, and now he's a real fighter, man. I mean, he went into the fighting game a lot. He gained like 40 pounds of muscles. You will not recognize him. I saw him at Couture. I did not know it was Sasha.
Wow, I'd like to do my homework on him also here in the next.
Oh, if you can get him on. I don't know where he is. I just saw him. I've never seen a transformation like that in my life.
Really?
Oh man, I mean, he was a scrawny-ish, good-looking young man, more leading type guy, and you know what I mean. And then he ended up being this monster of a dude, man. I'm telling you. Like,
he was another actor with great charisma also, man. I mean,
yeah.
Even though he wasn't muscle, like you said, a muscle imposing physique guy, he had that charisma, and he on screen you connected with him also because he was an everyday guy. I mean,
it's just I don't know the secret to it. Who marches further and all the way? It's a lot of luck at the right time, at the right place. And it's the people behind you, the power brokers.
Yeah.
And the power brokers are regular people. They don't understand us. For them, you're a business, it's not as camaraderie-ish as you and me and other people we are on the outside. In effect, we're kind of like freaks to them. You know what I mean? It's kind of like intimidated by a guy like us. So, I don't know. Sometimes I can feel they put the kibosh on it on purpose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like you said. They don't understand the people. They've just got the brains and the money for the product, so they're not really, diving deep into the people that make the wheel run.
Hey, you know what? When in the year 2000, the action genre died. It was with the big boys had the same lawyer and deal maker as Arnold and Stallone and Dolph and this and that. And they told me in a meeting, it's kind of over for you guys, because it's now the Keanu Reeves, the Tobey Maguire, blah, blah, blah. And it was true. So Arnold became a governor. Stallone was like playing golf most of the time, collecting art, and had a fitness nutrition company. And I was also stranded, for years, and I went to Rich Minzer at Gold's Gym, who is very much involved with the WWF, and I try to get back into the WWF as the Dark Angel.
Wow, seriously?
Oh yeah, man. We put a huge portfolio together and this and that, and we submitted to Vince, but he passed. I don't know why.
God, explain that to me, Matthias. That's got my attention. How was this gimmick going to work? I mean, what was the game plan? Because this blows my mind right now. The Dark Angel in the Attitude Era, that would have been too good to be true. How would that have went?
For me too. We thought it's a shoe-in because I would want to come in as the character.
That would have been, I mean, I could see you with Gangrel and the Brood or the Ministry of Darkness or something like that. Would have been
Yeah,
perfect.
like, it's a character that everybody knew. Most people knew from the movies because the film kind of had a VHS run and
Yeah.
then a Showtime run and then an HBO and all that, right? DVD, blah, 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 coming even to this day. So I was 30 some years old. So
Yeah.
peaking, I was ready to go in the
You
ring.
were, yeah, you were as a pro wrestler, your guys that are really over is probably from 35 to 45. I mean, that's probably in the big leagues, that's
It's a
your
good,
time
good
frame.
time. And I was thinking maybe I don't know if I would survive the trainings camp realistically because I'm not trained enough, but I could pick it up, I thought. And I also thought when you come in as an actor, you get treated a little bit more lightly and you get more time to adjust to, like Ronda Rousey, for
Yeah.
instance. I kind of like have similar abilities from judo and this and that.
Right.
So you get a bit more time, you work your way into it. You know what I mean?
That would have been
You
that
know
would
what I
have
mean?
been awesome. That would
Yeah.
have been awesome. And you could have came out to the I Come in Peace theme, but y'all, my goodness.
With the white eyes and the whole thing. I mean, I would have totally milk it, I probably be, you get.
That would have, I mean, that would have drew money. I mean, to me, it would have. Before the match starts, you say that and then just squash the guy. It would have been perfect. Wow, I did not know that. That is going to be a heck of a bit of information for people out there that's fans of the movie and professional wrestling, such as myself.
Now,
Matthias, listen, you're in unbelievable. I can't even talk. Unbelievable physical condition this stage of your life right now, man. What's your workout routine at the moment? How do you do upper body day, say?
yeah, but nothing ever changed. I always do the same. It's like since I started out, it's 4 days, chest, biceps, back, triceps. Chest, triceps, back, biceps. Leg day. On leg day, I do shoulders also for some reason because my leg days are not that strong anymore. Because I have two knees kaput.
Oh gosh.
Well, it's just part of life. And then I stretch and work out a little bit on the back, very little, just enough so that I'm still limber enough.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to abuse my body, I start shooting again, so we've got to be careful. But it's always the same. What I noticed, I can lose size fast if I don't follow the daily meal, this 4 or 5 meals a day. If I don't take creatine, believe it or not, if I don't take protein powder, believe it or not, I will lose volume and I get almost skinny. So it's like a regimen that if you stray of it, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard to, like now I'm staying at my mom's house. She's 92. If I would cook the way I needed to cook, she'd go nuts because I would have to cook 6 meals a day.
Yeah.
Pre-cook it and stink up the house with meat, which So now it's kind of harder. When we in LA or in Las Vegas, my wife and I we go shopping at Costco. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the meat, you buy the food, the potatoes, the whole thing, right? And you prepare it. All I do is eat.
Yeah. That sounds fun though.
Yeah, I know.
I love food.
Me too. And if you don't do it, you lose size.
Yeah. And my diet is garbage. I'll be honest with you. If I could eat well, if I had it to diet well, my body would look a whole lot better. I mean,
it's the diet. It's all the diet. I mean, we all went through COVID, and I gained unnecessary weight with ice cream and all this crap and
fun food.
Yeah, right. Like the wrong things. You sit there, you're like, what else can I eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible.
So your mother's 92 years old?
She's 92 and she had a stroke, so she's half paralyzed.
Bless her heart.
Thank you. She's doing okay. And she's happy I'm here at the moment. My wife is in Bali. Because we live in Bali also. Bali.
Your mother's 92 and you're in the shape you're in at your age tells me one thing, that you have very good genetics, man. I mean, your family must have been very well.
Yeah, one side of it. They're butchers.
Oh, really? So you would have made a good Leatherface.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking because I mean I grew up in the butchery and man, they're butchering like this, you know.
Yeah. That's wild, man. But no, I mean, genetics is a huge part on it, part of staying physical fit too. I mean, either you're dealt a good hand or you're not. And if you're dealt a good hand, like I want to say you are, and you take care of yourself, I mean, a dude, you can
You can
stay.
go a long, long, long time. Just don't get injured. I mean, I got injured so badly over the years. I have bone on my both shoulders and bone on my knee. No more meniscus. I'm telling you, it. If I could do it all over again, I work out a bit more smarter.
Yeah.
Like Michael Hearn. You know Michael Hearn?
Oh, he's my favorite bodybuilder.
Right. So
Yeah.
Michael Hearn is so methodical in his workouts that the basics that I never put in because I wanted I was an actor more than a bodybuilder, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I didn't do that many uh uh compound exercises as you need to do. You know what I mean? It's like really you need to strengthen your lower back and all that stuff. I mean, you can't just do biceps and chest and back and this and that and do it all wrong and
Yeah.
so over time you need to use your brain and Mike uses his brain, you know what I mean? So he's injury free.
And I mean, he looks unbelievable right now. I mean,
But he lives it. I mean, we're talking about that is 6 meals a day for sure,
yeah. Yeah.
no matter what.
Right now, I mean, I do a heavy day upper body and a
Yeah,
light day upper body. It's the same thing, except the light day is more reps and less weight. But I'm starting to feel, man, right here.
be
I'm
careful.
starting to feel. I don't know if it's tendonitis or what, but I bench. I do 5 sets of 4 of 340 on bench. That's my heavy night, and I do 3 sets of 8 of incline of 300 pounds. But I'm starting to feel this. If I just roll over, man, it's killing me.
Oh yeah, be careful. Back off a little bit because that gets worse.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's tendonitis or what it is, man, but my elbow is extremely sore at the moment.
Mine too, by the way. I just and then you can't do triceps that well. You know, you have to be
Yeah,
careful. I think sometimes what I've been doing lately is I do less weight, but I do 8 reps, but very, very slow.
yeah.
Count to 5, bringing it
Um,
up, 5, bringing it down. And after 8 sets, I'm so pumped, and I do this 4 times. In the beginning, you think, what am I doing with this lightweight? You know what I mean? But in the end, you also get a pump.
yeah,
An older bodybuilder showed me that because I listen to the older ones that are still in shape, right? There's
yes.
always, I mean, we're talking about pro bodybuilder, not me, pro
Yeah.
bodybuilders that are in shape. And I'm like, how do you survive this? And a lot of them explain me, you know, it's the precision. It just depends how you work out, you know, you can't muscle it.
Yeah.
But you're still in an age where you should go heavy and should
Yeah.
muscle. Just the form is very important, right? I mean,
That's what I tell all the kids that come here. Because the ones that first come, they're usually like, they don't have a clue. So I'm like, listen, form is the main thing. Don't worry about anything right now. Let's get that form, keeping the bar stable and everything. And then the rest will follow. It's just that being safe and the form is what we.
and another problem with the young boys is that they start taking the steroids too early. You know, I mean, you have so much testosterone in yourself, but the problem is that the internet showcases too many good-looking muscle guys.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then you get insecure, maybe. I mean, like I said, even in EOS gym in Vegas, you find 10, 15 people with extreme, incredible physics.
Yeah. And that's, it's like social media. And I think it's rougher on teenage girls or younger women, man, than it is, younger guys because, it was going to where they were, starving themselves. And to me, a woman looks better when she's got some meat on her bones and stronger, and these young girls are starving themselves and stuff, man, and bullying, it's just, it's a tough day and age, honestly.
It's more tough for them now than for us because when you grew up, you grew up in a normal life environment. These younger people don't. They're internet people. Like you said, you were out there playing.
Yeah.
good luck finding young people playing anymore, you know.
Right. Yeah, I have a 13-year-old boy, and I'm really thankful because he spends a lot of his time playing sports or boxing, or he's on his four-wheeler. I mean, or in the mountains on a four-wheeler. I mean, we do a lot of stuff outside.
He's lucky to have you as a dad.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm blessed to be his dad. That's my number one thing in his life.
There's nothing better than being out there on the four-wheel, you know, going with your dad to work out, and oh my God.
Oh, that's my. I mean, man, I'm telling you, when I was a young man and I got married, that was my dream. Was, you know, I wanted a son. I mean, any man, you know, wants to be able to do things, but I take him. We went and trained together with Dan Severn and Mark Coleman in a cage. I mean, and to me, that's like a huge deal. I mean, they were UFC heavyweight champs. He's been involved with some really cool mixed martial artists, boxing gyms in Louisville, Kentucky, and he's a really good basketball player. So we stay, you know, we ain't really homebodies. We're always on the road doing something.
Where exactly do you live in Rochester or somewhere?
I live in Eastern Kentucky.
Eastern Kentucky.
So, I'm in the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains.
Oh man, you're so lucky.
It's really beautiful out here, but really poverty stricken a lot through here. You see a lot. I mean, it's a different area, man. It's like really like drug infested right now. A lot of people are passing away. It's crazy where we live,
it's just not in your area. May I tell you something? You would not believe it. LA is a tent city.
Yeah, Skid Row that way. I mean, it's kind of like,
no, it's next to Gulfstream.
Oh, it is.
All around Gulfstream is a tent city. All the streets there. We're talking about Google is there, right? Mm-hmm. And the homes are 3 million and up. Tents everywhere, drugs. When you go to Golds, you have to go like this through the tent. Oh, yeah.
Man, that is, I mean, that's sad. And, you know, it's almost like here we have what you call hollers, and they're like side roads that go up into these valleys and stuff where there's houses and stuff. And you would be shocked. I mean, they're not living in tents, but they're living in some pretty rough situations, you know.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre type.
Well, yeah, Leatherface lived in Beverly Hills compared to some of these.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was just shooting a movie in the desert in 2 hours from LA, right?
Yeah.
And I got lost there, and I thought, this is Leatherface country, only 2 hours. There are all these trailers in the desert, and, you know, you think, who the hell lives there, right?
That's right.
And I made the lead actress in the end drive with me because I thought, if she gets lost there, who knows?
You'll never know what may happen.
Yeah, you know, I live in a world where I believe movies are real, and sometimes they are real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes the scariest monsters are real out there, man.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the world is not as clean as it used to be. No.
It's different, and I mean, it's sad that, you know, like I said, I've got a 13-year-old kid, and I wake up every day scared to death what he's going to get into or what he may be introduced to.
Yeah, with a dad like you, I believe he has a much better chance. I tell you one thing: if you are, and you know, I don't need to tell you, if you are into athletics, sports, wrestling, anything, you usually don't stray that much.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? The temptation may come in form of a girl who knows guys the wrong thing and all that. You get in the wrong clique. But if you have to do competitions and you have to show up, usually you stay on track.
That's the truth. I mean, I think it shows discipline. If you're serious about it, you don't want to damage your body. Like, my brother is like 44, I think he is, and he was one of the best basketball players in this area when he was younger. But he was like, I mean, he was like Mick Jagger or Axl Rose or something. Man, he was just a wild guy. Like, he was smoking cigarettes at 8-year-old, and he just never, you know, he could have had so much, and he sits in regret now. I mean, he's just like, man, I let so much go, and he's such a good example to what not to do. You know, instead of telling kids what they can do, he is a really good example, being like, listen, you don't want to do this, man, because you've got something ahead of you.
I don't know the difference. I don't know. I think it's a genetically something. You know, my sister's also very much different than me. So you have a who could have a very much different genetic link in his brain that makes him do things that you don't have, luckily, right?
Well, my main thing growing up was like, all right, I've seen my mom and dad put through a lot. because they raised three boys, and we weren't saints. We were a little bit rebellious. But I was the good kid. But I did not want to put my mom and dad through anything that would have caused them to have nervous breakdowns or anything. So that was kind of my motivation, really. I mean,
you're just a good kid, there's nothing you can do. That's good. I mean, not saying your brother is bad, but that's like everybody's different. If you're lucky, you wake up on the right side of the track. For me, it was, that sounds now a bit weird, not weird, normal for me, but I was a altar boy in church. I went the Pathfinder type thing, you know what I mean? So, and then I went to the army. So it was always like discipline and camaraderie and church and all that good stuff, You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, oh, nothing's going to happen to me because I'm part of I thought I'm the good guy.
Yeah.
Doing the right things, right? With the right people, So, but that could easily go in the wrong direction too.
It is. I mean, it don't take much because, like I said, my brothers are two of the greatest human beings, best hearts of anybody, people person, and they're just, they're doing awesome now. But now we were, and I wasn't a saint, but I kind of kept my head on, and I had a guy show me what not to do, and I kind of went a different route. But
wrestling so well. I mean, and so do I through my wife. The stories, not in person, some of them I met, of course. How many destroyed themselves?
All my heroes, every guy, Matthias, that I looked up to, every guy that I based my character on have passed away. Ravishing Rick Rude, Flying Brian Pillman, he was the loose cannon. He was a guy that I took a lot of inspiration from. Bruiser Brody, Scott Hall. Those guys are guys that I, borrow from in the ring or persona wise, and they're gone.
It's unbelievable. I was always mystified by it. Women also, China,
Yes.
And China. And my wife knows her very well, extremely well. She was there for her all the way,
Yeah.
So it's like, how? Why? Is it the physical pain that
it is?
The drug?
It is. It's the partying. It's a little bit of everything. I honestly I'm nowhere near the schedule or timeline that those guys do. It's every night. It's a different town, different wind. I mean, it's just a different lifestyle. I mean, I wrestle on a Saturday night for 20 minutes, and it's tough for me to get out of bed next day. These guys are having to self-medicate in the 80s and 90s before everything was kind of looked into, I guess you would say. They just, because if they didn't wrestle, they didn't get paid. So they had to self-medicate to get their payday.
I know, and I assume there's a lot of Vicodin involved and all,
somas. I mean, it was just
uppers, downers, and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Talk about wrestling. How did you like the movie The Wrestler?
One of my favorites, man. McGee did such a wonderful job. And
did he do this or did he not do this good?
It was perfect.
Unbelievable. He was like, how the hell did you get into that character? It was the most real. I mean, I don't know that circuit on that level, but it was so realistic.
Are you familiar with the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton? I mean, they were a big tag team. Well, Ricky Morton is a legend. He's a WWE Hall of Famer. The Rock and Roll Express is one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I worked a match with him, and backstage, I got to pick his brain and talk to him a little bit. And it is downright scary how similar Ricky Morton and Mickey Rourke's character was in that movie. Just the voice, the tone, the attitude. That's what I'm saying. If you know the business and got to talk to these old legends and stuff, you would have seen, man, Mickey Rourke really got into that character.
Yeah, I think he should have gotten the Oscar for this.
I do too, because I mean, I'm telling you, your heart breaks for him. I mean, it's more than just a wrestling. It's anything in life, It's whatever it's that comeback story. It's that down and out. I mean, it's just you connect.
He was walking the talk too. He did he went on the juice for this. He did the training. He did the whole thing.
Yeah, Piper had some. I think Roddy Piper. I think the Wilde Samoans, Chris Jericho. I think all those guys helped him train and stuff for that role also.
Yeah, well,
your wife. she's in phenomenal shape right now still. You guys work out together like we talked about beforehand. She was part, it sounds like she was involved with the Attitude Era, man. She knew a lot of the people in that high point of pro wrestling.
She knows everybody. She got this, the way it's just so cool, the way her husband, ex-husband, he was treating everybody at Gold's Gym, all of us, because he was gifted. And then Leslie said, why don't you try out for WWF? And she wrote a letter to Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon gets a lot of letters, And Vince said, if you're really that good, he flew him out in the jet and he worked on him and he fixed Vince. And Vince said, you're hired.
Yeah.
And that was it. So you're part of that family.
Yeah.
Because if you heal people, you're part of their family.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're going to keep you around.
And they come to your house. These are my favorite stories. When she was telling me how Kevin, what's Kevin's last name?
Nash.
Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash wouldn't even fit through the door, she said. And he was taking her, and lifting her up like this and everything, I mean, this is priceless, right?
Yeah. I bet she has some really good stories, man.
Oh, the whole thing, if you ever get to talk to her, the Rourke, everybody coming, And she had the small apartment, a condominium in Venice next to Gold's, and that's so cool. I mean, I envy her for this time, I saw the wrestlers all the time, like Lex Luger. He was kind of like, for me, I thought, oh, he's got a good body, Lex Luger. I want to be like him.
I always had a soft spot for Lex. His story is really tragic, man. But he got close with God and changed his whole life around. And he don't want you feeling sorry for him at the moment because he knows, after this life, he's got faith in the good Lord that he's going to be better off.
Yeah. I mean, that shocked me a little bit because, we're working out shoulder on shoulder at Gold's Gym and I'm looking at him and thinking, I got to do more shoulders. You know what I mean? And then I thought, how's that even possible? That.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm really fond of the wrestlers because they not only have muscles, they can move.
Yeah. Yeah. A good wrestler has to be able to get around. I mean, it's more important, in my opinion, to be able to get over and sell tickets. But you also have to be able to work in that ring also. You've got to be able to.
It's not just, look, MMA, it's probably the hardest. Boxing is very hard, but wrestling, don't underestimate these. They go sometimes 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, just bumping all over the place, running. I mean, it's nonstop, It's a different world, and I've learned to appreciate it a whole lot more since I'm going in my 8th year right now in the business.
Already. Wow.
I've got 2 matches next weekend back to back. Right now, I'm the human horror movie. I come out as a different horror persona every time.
Are you really? Oh, wow.
Like I'll come out as Leatherface in my whole get up, take it off. I'll come out as Jason or Michael Myers.
I mean, the people must go crazy.
I've been lucky in the local circuit. I get over pretty well, man. It's I've been champion a few times on a couple promotions, and just to have the promoters put that much faith in you, that goes a long way to me. I mean, but that was part of my growing up on the trampoline. Having Matthias Hues launch me across, me being Lundgren, or me coming out and getting a microphone, cutting a promo on an invisible crowd. That was just my imagination, and I carried it over to a middle-aged guy almost.
That's so amazing. That is so cool.
It's like, I mean, I'll never grow up, man. Like this podcast, this is kind of new.
Don't grow up. I never grew up too. I don't want to grow up. I don't want to be an adult. I mean, of course, we do adult chores.
Right. You got responsibility and stuff, but the spirit.
But I don't want to be. No. Always, I need to be excited.
Me too. And that's kind of what this podcast has been, man. It's been a late. It's something I want to carry on without having to be beat up and stuff. I broadcast local high school basketball also. I've just been trying different things.
You lived a good life, I'm telling you.
I have, man. I've been.
It's better than the Hollywood lifestyle.
You think so?
There is. I don't know, it's maybe because it's so fake in our life where we are, Why do you think most wrestlers and actors move away?
Get away from cutthroat business.
No, they live in Florida or
Yeah.
upstate New York or something, because it's more, you go crazy. It's this constant hype and constant backstabbing and this
Yeah.
and that. After a while, it gets to you, you want to also, I mean, we moved away eventually to onto an island. We live in Bali most of the time, which is a tropical island,
Yeah.
and I got a little gym there and everything. So uh it's important not to only think about career all the time.
Yeah.
But one thing, you always married to your job. Like you married to be a wrestler, a trainer also, and I'm married to do action movies.
Well, man, I'm telling you, you've been a big influence. I mean, you've been a big influence on this dude from Kentucky, because I grew up watching your stuff, and like I said, man,
You mean a lot to me.
part of my life has been watching you guys stay in awesome shape as you all age so gracefully and take care of yourself. And that's what I want to do. I want to be 60, 55, 60 year old still with a good pump, man. I mean,
And you will. Yes,
I want somebody to be able to look at me on the street and say, he might be 60 years old, but I wouldn't mess with him.
that's exactly, and you will be, because there's a certain hunger you have to have.
Yeah, well, and it's all because you guys, growing up, I don't know what it is, man, but growing up in the 80s and 90s, you had the best role models to look up to. It's the truth.
And that was a good time to be alive too, because it was just like that. It was, like I said, competitive, much competition in terms of, you know what I mean, the social networking. By the way, I have to apologize. I just now connected with you on Facebook. You on Instagram too?
Yes, yes.
I have to connect with you there too. The problem with Facebook, I don't know how to work it. I have 5,000 friends and I don't know how to get
My
more.
dad is the same way. He'll call me. I'll be at work, and my dad's in his mid-60s, and he's like, Adam, should I accept this one as a friend? You think he's real? Do you think? I mean, it's just he thinks everybody's out to scam him.
But Adam, what I mean is, like, once you hit the 5,000 friend mark, you can't add another one.
Oh, really?
Oh, you can't. You have to bump off someone in order to, because you're not only allowed to have 5,000. I have one of those accounts that is,
You
there's
got a lot of friends.
yeah, no, some of them. There's a fan page, and then there's a personal. I have a personal page, and when you reach 5,000, that's it. So now, if you say contact, can I be your friend? I'm not allowed to. So I got to go through 5,000 people and throw them out.
Somebody has to pay the price to be my friend.
Yeah, and I'm like, how am I going to change this? Because I'm missing out on so many people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I didn't even realize that 5,000 is the cutoff. So
it's the cutoff. And I just saw yours, and I'm like, let's see if I only have 4,900, because there's always some going. And boom, it went through.
I seen that this morning. I was like, wow. I was like, so he is alive, or he has got me recognized. So we are in the business right now as friends on social media.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to do it on Instagram as well.
But I'll tell you, I'm going to ask. I've got a game for you before I let you off here.
Okay.
I have had you on here, and you've graced me with some of your time, Matthias. You have gave me some knowledge. You have gave us some news, and I'm going to let you plug your upcoming stuff when we get off here. But I have some fast questions for you. 2 rounds. The first thing I say, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Does that sound fun?
That's fun. Sounds great.
Okay, so the first one is Arnold Schwarzenegger. First thing that comes to your mind?
Terminator.
Sylvester Stallone.
Rocky.
Bruce Willis.
Die Hard.
Dolph Lundgren.
Rocky 4.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Bloodsport.
Lorenzo Lamas.
Bounty Tracker.
Yes. Hey, listen, I have got my personal mission is to get that poster and put it up down here in my gym.
Oh, yeah, maybe they sell it somewhere. I don't even know. I should have it.
I may go to the UPS store and have it made.
You can actually, yeah.
Yeah. There's so many good ways to do things now, to get stuff made that you couldn't back.
I know. I had those made. See in the background, and
those are awesome, man.
Wasn't that expensive either.
Well, I may have to go. Where did you get that made at?
Online. I just, and then they sent it was, but it was in Europe.
Yeah.
Because you know where I'm sitting right now? In my child bedroom.
Really?
Well, because I'm visiting my mom, and my
Mother,
room
yeah.
is still my
So that's
room.
that's your childhood bedroom?
And there used to be a poster of a dog.
Man, that is so awesome. I mean, you know, being able to be with your mother at this point in your life and her life, being able to stay at
It's
your
insane.
childhood home, that's a blessing, dude. That's pretty cool.
And my wife, if she would be here, she would say hi, but she's in the room next door in my sister's ex-child room.
Oh, really?
We are forced to sleep separate
Yeah.
because the rooms are so small.
Oh, shoot. All right. Favorite food. Me and you like food. We've talked a little bit about how much we enjoy it.
I like food. Damn steak,
Oh,
Any
yeah. Good steak. It's hard to beat.
steak. I love it. Yeah, steak.
What's your favorite music or band?
Oh yeah, it used to be T-Rex.
That's one of my best friends. That's his band. I mean, he's a guitarist and he's very inspired by T-Rex.
Yeah, that was my generation, I remember listening to them and they were kind of like cool,
And he's actually the guy that was on the playground with me that would play I Come in Peace. So we're really close still to this day. There ain't a day that goes by we don't text or call each other and sharing all the same interests. But
Oh,
T-Rex,
that's so cool.
I think Jeepster may have been his jam, if I'm not mistaken. That was his favorite song.
By the way, talking about music, there was this guy that was the saxophonist for Tina Turner. It's his
Tim Capella.
What a
I
dude.
love that guy, man. He is the real deal.
I saw him in the gym. I thought, who's this? With a ponytail, the long hair. Back then, it was like really cool with the muscles and everything.
Yeah.
Friended each other, and he's like, I'm the, saxophonist from Tina Turner. I'm like, oh my God.
He was in the Lost Boys also.
Yes, he was in this.
He was in Miami Vice. Tim Capella is a guy that I would love to have come on because I've introduced him to some younger guys I work with, and they just get the biggest kick out of like we'll watch the old Tina. There's actually a video on YouTube where he's with Tina Turner doing a version of she done a song with I think it was Barry White called Wildest Dreams or Never in My Wildest Dreams or something like that. Tim Capello does the Barry White version, and he's up there just moving, and these women are like losing their minds, and it's hilarious. I mean, it's like the ultimate male right there.
I would love to know how he looks like right now.
I think he's in really good shape, kind of like yourself. I think you guys are,
I would love. I don't know where he is. He's probably wherever these.
He does a lot of conventions. He goes around to a lot of horror conventions with the Lost Boys kind of thing, and then does the song "Still Believe," the one that he plays with the saxophone.
I mean, he made an impression on me.
Oh yeah, me too. And he's another guy with that charisma, a big muscle bound looking dude with a saxophone.
And he has a skill,
Yeah. All right. Favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie? I have to say Terminator.
Terminator. I'd say it had an effect on your career also. It inspired you, didn't
it? Arnold never inspired me because I never had anybody like that I looked up to. I just admired him.
Yeah.
But I wasn't on my way to become a professional bodybuilder. And I purposely didn't want to follow someone else's footsteps. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to walk around and
blaze your own trail.
Yeah, I want to be my own guy. So I only admired him, and I couldn't wait to meet him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
That guy is like larger than life, and wow, whatever he did, I want to learn.
Right.
So I saw him like that, like an idol, without idolizing him too much. Just admiring him. I admired him.
Yeah.
Admired him.
Now, the last question I'm going to ask you is your favorite martial artist of all time.
Well,
can be a mixed martial artist, can be a fighter, can be just a traditional martial artist. Who was your favorite?
But there's so many. Boy, that's tough. Currently I'm into Francis Ngannou.
Yeah, I like Ngannou.
Yeah, because I saw him in person, And I was like, oh, this guy's so impressive. He has so much power for his
Yeah.
size, and so I'm kind of intrigued by him at the moment. And I think he's got an incredible career, and he's very controversial by getting out of the UFC. So you wonder what's going to happen. So he occupies my brain all the time now.
So you're following that story. You're following that story, aren't you?
Yeah, because
Me
I
too.
met him. I saw him in Vegas, and we were like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm like, "That man is impressive." I followed him before already when he was in France.
Yeah.
And I thought, "Oh, this guy, man, he's gonna go places. He hits harder than anybody I know." And once I seen him in person, I thought he's as big. I mean, I thought he's actually bigger than me. I was kind of, you know what I mean? It's like,
you know, competitive spirit.
For one thing, surely more lethal than me. But I was intrigued so much, and I love what he does. I mean, he's getting out of UFC. That's a huge risk, you know. I mean,
well, I mean, so many guys have, you know, Randy. Like I said, Randy Couture. He's my favorite of all time. He's the reason that I got into fighting. He made, you know, years before it was kind of, he took the risk and left the UFC because he didn't feel like they were getting paid enough, and he felt like they should be taken care of better. You know, fast forward 10 years later, and all these guys that are newer guys are like, I ain't doing it. I'll go somewhere else and fight, or, you know.
But that was then, you know, like Ken Shamrocks, the Shamrocks, you know, all those.
Love Shamrock. I love Frank Shamrock.
Hey, amazing shape, yeah.
Yeah, I met Frank and Randy up at the Arnold Classic. Me and my son did a few years back, and got to meet them. And I actually hold one of my shirts, a Bears Den shirt, in my gym, and it was just like a mind-blowing moment because those guys were, when I was in high school, and my mom and dad bought me a punching bag. I would play the Frank Shamrock or the Vitor Belfort highlights, and I'd just go out there and nonstop.
Really? Oh, that's amazing. Randy is how old?
I want to say Randy is closing in on 60. He fought till he was 47. He lost to Lyoto Machida. I mean, he was fighting at a high level at 47 years old.
He's in incredible shape.
And a nice guy also, just a real like gentleman. I mean, he's got a classiness to him.
Most of these older guys that survived it aren't great. They're great people. Chuck Liddell, I just got to meet him.
Is he pretty cool?
He was really nice to me, and we were shooting a fight scene together.
Really?
Yeah, and he was like very humble. He said, "Listen, I'll do what you say. I follow your lead because that's your job." You know, I'm like, wow, the guy kill me, you know. But he was he was really nice, and he was so easygoing, and
They always said he was real chill. I'm actually in talks to have
so chill that it's like, I almost have to say, hey.
His trainer, John Hackelman, he's supposed to come on. I'm supposed to have him on soon. I'm excited about that. We've kind of been going back and forth on getting a time right. He's in Hawaii, so he's on the West Coast. So that's kind of my issue with getting some of these guests.
It's tough. By the way, Chuck Liddell said one thing that was so interesting. I asked him because I'm curious. He has no injuries yet.
Wow. I know that he is, man, he took some really tough shots to the head.
Nothing. He has nothing. He said the only thing that ever happened to him was his finger in the bathtub or some home accident.
Oh, God.
That's the only, he says, so embarrassing because it's not.
He's been in some really big wars, and a bathroom injury is the worst ever came out with.
I mean, kudos to everyone that survives that ring.
Amen to that. Listen, Matthias, it has been an absolute honor to have you on here, man. You've made my day, and there's going to be a lot of people that grew up in the same time frame I did that's going to really enjoy this. Would you like to plug anything before we head off here, man? Talk a little bit about the Kumite movie coming out.
It's The Last Kumite. There's a crazy title, huh? Last Kumite.
The Last Kumite.
Hopefully not. And I have a book, obviously. It's about Hollywood. Shirtless in Hollywood, that's the name, you know. And it's on Amazon. Anybody can order it. It's about it's the battle for the throne. I'm telling you, there's such a thing as the throne that you just sit on, and on the throne there's a few people, they're sitting on it, and you're like a knight trying to come into Game of Thrones, trying to get that throne away from the old timers. You know, that's kind of the life. And I wrote it all down. You know, it's a never-ending battle.
Man, what's the name of the book again?
Shirtless in Hollywood, because
Shirtless
that's how
in Hollywood.
Yeah, because that's how I made my money. No shirt,
Right,
right?
right. And I watched that bounty tracker scene where you fought the cops, man, and it was like, dude, it was so realistic. I mean, you were throwing them again. I mean, it looks totally different now with the fight scenes. It looks so much more realistic back in the day. But
It was like yeah, because we had to just do it.
yeah, I mean, and it was awesome to watch. I miss those days. Listen, Matthias, again, thank you for coming on. Listen, I want to get you and your wife on in the future together, and we'll talk fitness. We'll talk old school WWF stuff, man, and
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
give y'all
yeah.
something to do together.
Absolutely, I will. She'll be so excited because she she's very nice. So
Yeah, yeah. I follow you guys on Instagram, and like I said, dude,
thank you. Yeah.
I appreciate a good husband and wife that work out together, do things together, and that's kind of like me and mine. She's a teacher, and when she gets out, we kind of do stuff around the community. She helps cheerleaders, so she's a real special woman. Does a lot
What's
of
the name of your wife?
Huh?
What's her name?
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Yeah, she's right now. She had to get up early and go work a baseball game for the school. So.
Give my regards to Lindsay.
I sure will. I'll let her know. Like I said, we'll get you guys on, and hopefully you will talk a little more about the last Kumite when you come back.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, good idea.
And maybe like I said, we'll have you both on together. And thank you for coming on, Matthias. Guys, Matthias Hues, the bad alien himself. No, bad alien. He's the dark angel. And Vince McMahon, let me tell you something, Vince. You really, really messed up by not signing the Dark Angel in the late 90s. I'm just going to tell you right now because your pockets would have been lined with gold, my friend. Matthias, thank you for being on, my man. And we will see you hopefully on down the road, bud.
See you soon. Okay.